start recording. Hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's session on social media, run by the amazing Stuart Murray-Hill. And I'm going to hand straight over to Stuart because he's the one that knows exactly what he's talking about on this topic. And Stuart, if you wouldn't mind talking a bit about how the session will run, kind of the structure, and then getting started.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thanks, Lucy, first of all, for inviting me along, and thank you to all of you for joining. I hope that you'll get a lot out of today's session. I know that I've probably seen a few of you in the past. I've done a few sessions with Osborne now, either face-to-face or kind of online. So today's session, I've tried to make it a little bit different to what we've done in the past to give you some really easily actionable ideas that you can put into place from now without having to get too caught up in the theory and do lots of preparation. So very quickly, just for those of you that don't know who I am, my name's Stuart Murray, as Lucy said. I'm a social media consultant, coach and trainer, and I predominantly work solely with direct sellers and direct selling organizations. So I've worked for direct selling companies myself, but for the last 5 years have been kind of independent, running my own social media business. And I also partner with the direct selling associations in the UK and Ireland. So I'm very close to the industry and have a passion for helping people like you to use social media in the best way they can. So today's session is all about building your customer base and your personal brand on social media. So this is a very broad topic. We've only got an hour, and I said to Lucy just before you joined today, I am determined that I'm going to stick to the hour, because whenever I've done these sessions, there's always so much to talk about that we end up taking a lot longer. And I'm sure you don't want to spend the rest of your night listening to me. So I'm going to go through it in the most concise way as I can, but building in time for questions. So the way I've structured the session today is around 5 key areas that all of you can focus on, and they'll be applicable whether you're already on social media, whether you've been using it for a long time or a short time, or whether whether you're not on social media yet, but you're thinking, okay, I might want to give this a go. So everything that I'm going to talk about is applicable to everybody. If you're already started, you might want to revisit some of these things, or if you're not started yet, this is a great starting point. So for each one of those 5 areas, I'll talk through what you want to achieve by doing those particular things. And then there are 3 key actions for each of these areas. So it probably sounds a little bit confusing now, but it will become self-explanatory. So the first one is we need people to stop scrolling. So you probably
Stuart, sorry, is there a way to make your PowerPoint bigger? Because I don't know if it's the same for everyone else, but for me, it's only showing on a small part of the screen.
Oh, is it? Oh, it shouldn't be.
I can see your desktop.
Oh,
and then
oh,
the
sorry.
PowerPoint in small.
I thought it was. Let me go back. I shall share. I thought I was sharing just PowerPoint.
That's better. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Me selecting the wrong option. So yes, for the first area we want is to stop people scrolling. So when you are using your phone, you know, our thumbs probably do this very often, and we just scroll past things and we consume so much content. So in order for social media to work for you as a business owner, you want to stop people scrolling and you want them to look at your content and engage with it, because that's when they're going to learn how you can help them, and they're going to become a customer or potentially a team member, or just follow you because they like what you're doing. So the things you need to be focusing on for objectives for this area is to create content that your audience really wants to see, with the emphasis being on the word really, because sometimes people assume what their audience wants, and actually those 2 things can be poles apart at times. So it's about really drilling down and understanding, okay, what do they really want? And the second aspect is to appeal to the interests of your audience. So it's not just all about talking about the business or about the books. It's actually talking about the softer areas where you have common ground with your audience. So to give you ideas of what you can do to achieve those objectives.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you turn your volume up, please? I can barely hear you.
Oh, I'm not sure. My microphone's at full. I'm not sure what it is. Your volume turned up at your end? Can everyone else hear okay?
Yeah.
I can
Maybe
hear
it's just me.
fine.
Must be me then.
It
Okay,
might be
sorry.
recording. I'll try. Sorry. Hopefully, if it's really bad, let me know. I think the recording's going to be available anyway, isn't it, Lucy? So you could always hopefully watch back, and hopefully that'll resolve it.
Yeah, recording's available after
Perfect.
this.
So yes, the first aspect is to be clear on who your target audience is. So when I say target audience, this is about who are the people that you are ultimately trying to get yourself in front of. So what you want to do is write down all of the characteristics of your ideal customer, and you want to be really, really super specific about it. So don't just go at a very top end level and say, they're female, they've got children, they live in a particular area. We really want to drill down and understand a fully rounded picture about who that person is. Because when you deeply understand who you want to connect with, it will become much, much easier to then create content that appeals to that person, because you'll kind of have a better idea of who they are. So what drives them, what motivates them, what they're aiming for in life, what they find difficult, what problems they're experiencing. And then you talk about those particular topics. If you don't know your audience member, your ideal customer in detail, it's going to become a lot harder to think, what do I post about? And then you're not going to make the connection. And I would also advise to really stick to one audience type for each of your profiles, and not trying to speak to everybody. So what I mean by that, to kind of give an example that might be relevant to Osborne, is if you sell maybe to parents, so individual parents, to buy books for their children, or you work with schools, so you're trying to connect and talk to teachers, what you might want to say to a parent to buy one single book every month for their child versus what you would say to a teacher in school to potentially run an event with them are going to be very, very different. So if you're posting on one profile about those two different things, if I'm the parent and I keep seeing posts that are talking about doing events in schools or targeted at teachers, it might make me think, okay, this person isn't really looking for me to buy from them anymore. They're now only working with schools, so maybe I'll move away and I'll find somebody else, and vice versa. If this teacher sees lots of content that is about an individual purchasing a book, again, it kind of mixes the messages. So think about, how can you use different profiles on different social networks to talk to different people? So an example that some of you have said to me in the past is that Twitter works well for schools and teachers. So maybe that is the route that you predominantly use to talk to that audience, but maybe Instagram might be where you target the individual customers, the parents that are going to be buying for themselves and their family. And the last point in this action is to make sure that 100% of your content is produced for your audience and not for you. And sometimes this can be a little bit difficult for people, because I talk to some people that say they really enjoy what they do. They enjoy using social media. They enjoy creating content. They enjoy creating fun reels. But sometimes there's a disconnect between what they're actually doing and what they want to achieve with their audience, and it might not be resonating with the audience. So whenever you create something, look back to where you've written down that ideal customer profile and say, would that person really want to see this? And if the answer is even slightly no, maybe they don't, it's probably best not to post it, because it won't help you grow. So you have to kind of be harsh with yourself and view it as, I might have a personal profile for doing what I want, but this is for my business, so my content is going to be to drive the growth of my business. So action 2, which kind of follows on from that, is to then be interactive and involve your audience in your content creation. So we want to make our social media as social as we can, and not a one-way channel where you just post something and then come away. So you want to be trying to talk to your audience every day if you can. And it's not a bad idea to ask your audience what they want to see from you. So you could use things like stories, where there are polls and question stickers on Instagram or Facebook, to ask people what they want to see from you. Sometimes people think that's kind of admitting a weakness, but I would view it more as a strength and positively to say, actually, you know, I want to give you content that you want to be looking at. So tell me, do you like seeing reels from me? Do you like me showing you previews of books that are going to be coming in the coming months? Do you want me to talk through and demonstrate some of the kind of activity books and things? So ask people what they want, and then you're more guaranteed or more likely to be giving them what they want. And really, the last point is inviting existing people to either buy from you or work with you to collaborate with you on creating some content. So it might be that if you've got existing customers that have been buying from you from a long time and they're really passionate about Usborne and about you as an individual and kind of how you've helped them and supported them, ask them whether they'd either want to record a short video, go live with you, give you some text that you can use in a post in kind of a testimonial format. And again, the more you get people involved, they're going to become more loyal and stick with you and probably tell other people about you, and you'll start to build this kind of community. And the last action for this point is around creating content that shows that you have common interests with your ideal customer. So this is about kind of taking a longer route round to making someone realize, oh, okay, actually, this person has something that I need from them. And the way you do that is going back to the document where you've written down your ideal customer and say, okay, what are the interests that I personally have that ideal customer has as well? And it might be something that has nothing to do with Usborne, has nothing to do with starting a business, has nothing to do with books. It might be something that feels a little bit random, but it will actually connect with them. And if you post about it, it's going to catch their attention and think, oh, well, I enjoy doing that, or I have that same opinion, I have that same view, I support that same group or that same cause. And it's a really good way that sometimes gets overlooked of actually, this is a good way to find people, find a softer common interest, and then you'll build a connection with people. So they're the first three actions for point one. Moving on to point two, this is all about engaging with people. So as I said in the last slide, we don't want to focus purely on just posting something and then disappearing. We want you to be active on your social media and use it in a really social way where you're talking to people and getting them to talk back to you, because the more you can understand them and build the relationship, you're going to kind of foster the beginnings of trust, which is where then somebody will think, oh, okay, actually, I understand what this person's about. I understand what they're offering and I need that. I trust them enough to buy from them or to potentially even work with them. So engage is all about proactively seeking the customers that you want. So not sitting back and waiting for them to come to you. You can go out and find them, and we'll talk about how you can do that in a second. You then want to convert your followers into customers. So having a follower that never does anything, that never buys from you, that never works from you is no use to anybody really, if they're just going to sit there and do nothing. It's just a number on your profile that says I've got 1,000 followers. Whoop-de-doo if they don't buy anything from you. And number three is consistently taking the right actions that will help you grow. So I'll give you a list of those as well in a sec. So the first action to help you achieve those three things is, again, deeply understand your audience and where they are active. So this one, as I said on point one, is about creating the profiles on the platforms where you know your audience is active. So again, if you're looking to work with teachers and target schools, if your own kind of knowledge and feedback and experiences, those people are on Twitter, there's no point in going and using Instagram or Facebook if you know those groups aren't going to connect with you there. So again, it sounds an obvious thing to say, but so many people miss it and they just think I'm comfortable or I know what I'm doing with Facebook, so I'm going to use that for everything. But again, if you want to make social media work for you, you've got to use it in the right way. But proactively finding those people on the platforms that you know they are active on is as simple as utilizing search functionality. So the exact way you'll do that will be different for each social network. But It's about just searching for the things that those people would be looking for, things that those people might be posting about. So again, if you've got this rounded view of your audience, you're probably going to know those things a lot more easily than if you don't understand your audience. So when you found them, it's just a case of looking at the profile, saying, okay, from what I can see, this person looks like they are a customer I would like, and just start engaging with them. But it absolutely, as it says in capital letters, is not about trying to sell to them. And the worst thing you can do is immediately DM somebody when you find a profile and say, oh, hi, by the way, I've got these wonderful books. Do you want to buy this from me? It will immediately turn them off. And hopefully all of you, I see a few of you smiling, are thinking, yeah, that's a ridiculous thing to do. So yeah, do not do that. It's all about commenting on their posts as frequently as you can, but doing it in a really meaningful way. So showing that you've actually looked at the post, digested it, and you're commenting for a reason. So you've either got a genuine opinion on what they're talking about, you either have got a relatable story that you can share from your own experience about what they're talking about, so that it just shows you're connecting with them for a real reason, not just to find a customer. And in time, that will build a relationship that will grow and grow and grow. So this isn't about, I'm going to connect with somebody at 9 o'clock this morning, and by 9 o'clock tonight, they're going to be buying from me. They might do, but it's probably, for most people, going to take time, because again, you need to build trust. And to give you an idea of kind of how often you should be doing that, I would really aim to try and do 3 a day as a minimum. Some people I know that I work with do a lot more. Some of you are probably thinking, oh my God, I don't have the time to do that. But again, if you want social to become a really productive channel for you, it needs the time and effort to be put into it. So again, if you can't do 3 a day, but you could dedicate 1 day, could you then try and do 10 or 15 in one hit on 1 day? It does get easier as you do it, but it's better to give yourself a number to work to rather than keep saying, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. Next action then is kind of the other side of people. So the first action was about finding new people, but we also need to nurture the relationships with our existing audience. So you will probably already have followers that you've got at the moment. And if you put all of your effort into just bringing in new people, those existing people might think, oh, well, what am I doing here? They don't really care about me. I'm going to go elsewhere. So think about what can you do to look after and retain your existing followers as well, and what's going to appeal to them. And if they're not already a customer, how are you going to keep taking them on that journey to thinking, okay, you're right, I do want to become a customer of this person. So again, it's the principles are pretty much still the same. If you want to engage with your followers' content, again, respond to their comments that they put on your posts. Don't just do a heart or like it, actually reply back and try to keep the conversation going. So use every opportunity to ask them questions so you can learn more about them, and then you can steer the conversation in a way that you want it to go. But the key thing is just keep talking to them. Don't make it a one-way channel where you post and you never talk back to people. And keep giving them ultimately what they want and need. And again, I would hope it does sound obvious to the majority of you, but probably what most people want and need is to not be sold to in every single post. So if every single one of your posts is, I've got this, here's a promotion, here's how much this is, do you want to join my team? That probably isn't what people use social media for. So again, think about how do you add in softer, more social content rather than just sales content. We'll go backwards instead of forwards. And then the list of daily activities that I talked about. So the actions that are going to help you grow on a consistent basis. Again, they require commitment. And I'll put together some these are kind of really the basics, I would say, if you need to be doing all of these, if you are serious about wanting to grow. And ideally, I would say you need to be taking an hour a day to be doing these things. So it's, again, it sounds like a lot, but if you find a routine where this fits into your daily schedule, it actually isn't as bad as it sounds. And on some days, it might be a little bit less. But the hour is broken into 10 minutes to like and respond to all of the comments that you've received in the last 24 hours. 10 minutes to reply to any messages you might have received. So again, if you haven't had any of those, you've saved yourself 20 minutes straight away. But in time, you probably will start getting these things because you're now taking the right actions. And for both of those things, a question I sometimes get is, what should I do about spammy comments and messages? I would say just ignore those. There's no point in replying back to something that is obviously spam. So either delete it if you really want to, or just leave it there if it's inoffensive. But yeah, don't waste time replying to them. Then the bigger portion of the time, so 15 minutes, you want to like and comment on posts from your followers. So again, this is about nurturing and looking after your existing audience. So show that you care and you're interested in them by looking about what they're posting about and engage with it, because then you'll probably find they will do the same back for you. And then another 15 minutes doing exactly the same, but for the new accounts that you found from the first action. So going out and finding your ideal customers through searching, spend 15 minutes every day commenting on some of these new accounts, because that will then draw new people to you. And then if you are posting every day, so as an example on Instagram or Facebook, share that post to your story. So you're giving yourself maximum visibility for people to be able to see the post either in their feed as they scroll or within the circles that appear as stories at the top. And then 5 minutes creating at least one interactive story. So that will be a story where you put a sticker in it that asks somebody a question that they either complete a quiz, a poll, they reply to a question that you're asking. So it's giving that two-way conversation, and it's giving you an opportunity to keep the conversation going. So that's all about engagement. Our third area is then about how do you show yourself to your audience? My advice to anybody on this, irrelevant of what your personality type is like, whether you're introvert, extrovert, whatever it might be, is to be unashamedly you. And it's ultimately about making yourself stand out from everybody else. So I've said this lots and lots of times, and Lucy's heard it in the last session I said, but ultimately, if you think of what all of you have got to offer to the world, you've all got lots of things in common. You're offering the same business opportunity, the same books. So those aren't points of distinction. The point of distinction for all of you is you as an individual and your personality, the little quirks that make you you. And when you find the people that relate to that and say, okay, yeah, I get this person, they will be the people that are going to buy from you or work with you and not anybody else, because they've got that human connection. So don't try to be anybody else. Be proud of who you are and make yourself stand out. And through doing that, it then comes on to the second objective, which is about showing your true personality to your audience. And ultimately, you want to become a familiar face to them. So again, social media isn't going to be as productive for you if you're only using it once a month. Because somebody might see one post, or perhaps they won't even see it at all, and they'll just forget that they might even be following you. So you need to be there fairly regularly if you want it to work for you. So the first action for this area is what I've called making yourself and the books co-stars. So your profile should not be 100% about the books and no one ever sees you, because ultimately it isn't the books that are going to make a connection with a new customer. It's you that's going to make that connection. So you think if I'm looking to potentially buy an Usborne book and I find a profile that doesn't have someone's name on it, all it is just pictures of books and books and books, and buy this, click here to buy. Am I really going to buy from somebody that I have no idea who they are, that's just on a random Instagram profile with maybe only a couple of hundred followers? Whereas if I found a profile that had somebody on it that they've done a few reels, where they're kind of talking about why they got started, who they are, what their situation is, I see some of the hobbies that they've got, and I think, oh, I like doing that as well. I'm probably going to feel closer to that person, a closer connection. So I will be far more likely to think, okay, might consider this now. So think about how can you put yourself out there alongside the books, because that's when you're kind of making a really valuable proposition for people. And the last point is a really, really important one of don't compare yourselves to others. And a lot of the reason why people do that is because they perceive that other people are doing better than them. But believe me, I've got God knows how many examples of where people have come to me and said, oh, look at this profile. They're doing really, really well. I want to be like them. But when I do a relatively little bit of digging, it's very kind of smoke and mirrors. So there's lots of tricks and techniques that people can do to make it look better than they are. So it's possible to buy followers, as you might know. You can buy likes, you can buy comments, you can buy reel views. So if you see somebody that's got 5 million views on a reel, and it really doesn't look that great, and there's no comments but only a few likes, it's probably likely that they've bought those views. So don't do yourself an injustice and say, oh, I'm rubbish compared to these people. You're not. You just might be at a different stage of the journey, or you're doing it properly. And a good way to show your personality is to try and bring a little bit of fun to your content. So again, a few people get really intimidated by this. And at the last Leadership Academy that I did with Lucy, we talked a little bit about this there. And a few people around the tables, when I spoke to people individually, was, oh, I don't want to be doing dancing, and I don't want to be doing pointing and jumping around on reels. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. It's just bringing something a little bit different that brings an element of entertainment to your profile. Because again, why do people come to social media? They don't come to be sold to. They either probably come to be entertained, inspired, or to feel part of something, feel part of a part of a community. And the biggest thing that's going to hold you back from doing this will be a lack of confidence. It probably is not a case at all of that you physically aren't competent enough to be able to do it. It's going to be something in here that is going, oh God, I really don't want to do that. And you don't, again, it doesn't have to be something awful. Just think about how can you bring a little bit of fun, and that might be humorous. It might be just showing your personality, talking about what you're up to, just showing yourself maybe on a quick live video once a month of, hi everybody, I'm just putting together my order for next month, thought I'd give you a little insight into what I'm doing, but don't make it really, really polished, because it's when it's overly polished that people think, oh, okay, is this a real person, or that, you know, they're this wonderful person that isn't really human. So we want to kind of show our human side, and that might be that it's not 100% perfect all the time. And the way that you can become familiar to people is to use what I've called fast and easy content features. So this is about having a plan for when you can't always have really detailed content prepared all the time. So you can have either a bank of content that you've either created in advance. So this is about when you've got a quiet day, create some posts and just save them somewhere so you can pull on them when you need them and get something out on the day when either the kids might be poorly, so you haven't got time to spend ages creating something immediately now, or something has just come up, you know, life happens and things take over. There's always a way that you can still keep doing something to keep yourself in front of people's eyes. Another kind of tip or trick, I guess, that some people don't do very often is to either reshare older posts that performed well for you, or repurpose content. So if you created a reel that was one of these reels where people kind of point out facts, so it might be the top 3 reasons to become an Usborne partner, and that was initially a reel, you could repurpose that and create that into a nice kind of infographic with the words actually in a picture format with some of the books in the background. So again, if they look at your analytics, find what worked well, and don't try to always reinvent the wheel. You can just turn it a little bit and say, okay, the message is ultimately the same, it just looks a little bit different. The main reasons that I hear why people don't do that is they think that their audience, their existing followers, don't want to see the same thing over and over again. But I've had very little experience of anybody giving that feedback. So this isn't about using something that you posted 2 days ago and putting it out again. It's maybe something you did 1 or 2 months ago that most people probably aren't going to be that involved in your content that they go, oh, I remember that post, you did that 46 days ago. So don't, again, get hung up on the detail of it. Just go with it. And really very quick and easy formats are stories and really short live videos. So again, if you're running about and stuff is happening, quickly just recording a little story video saying, hi everybody, haven't got a chance to do a post today, but just wanted to let you know this is what's happening. Again, it's just keeping you in the forefront of someone's mind. And again, showing that you're not this wonderful human being that has an Instagram post 100% polished and prepared for every day. It's just showing again that you're human and you're making a connection with people. So that's number 3. I'm very impressed that I'm still almost on time. Number 4 is then about how do you actually start serving people. So again, you're seeing a common theme through all of these. It's not about trying to always sell to people. We want to help people in whatever way you can. So the objectives here, the biggest one is about providing solutions to the challenges of your audience. So again, right at the start, we've defined and documented who our audience group is and everything we know about them. So part of that will be, what are the challenges that they're facing at the moment? So is it that if you're looking for a customer that their child maybe has a younger reading age than that they should have, and they're concerned about that? So again, do you have something that can help with that? If you are looking to recruit a new team member, is it that that ideal person you're looking for has just lost their job, or they are really impacted by the cost of living crisis and they need a bit of extra income? So think about what are the challenges for your specific audience, and that might be different to other Usborne partners. So again, think it's your audience, not everybody else's. So following on from that, you then want to be consistently delivering value in everything that you give to your audience. And you want to avoid alienating them. And you probably do that by doing some, what I've called rookie mistakes, which I'm going to talk you through as well. So the first thing you want to do again is go back to your audience breakdown and really deeply understand all of these challenges that they're facing. So think about what is happening in their life at the moment, what might have been happening historically, and again, don't make assumptions of it. One good way to maybe do this is if you've got long-standing existing customers that you have a good relationship with, you're probably talking to them fairly regularly anyway, but I would be open and honest. If they're kind of very supportive of you and they are regularly buying from you or working with you in some way, say to them, look, I want to really help people. You fit into what I've kind of documented as my ideal customer or my ideal team member. What's going on in your life now? What's important to you? What matters? And what do you think I could bring to help with that? Because I want to help other people. And most people will do that for you. I've never really known when someone has said, no, sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to help you. And once you've done it, it's not a one-off task. It's something that I would say you probably need to review on a quarterly basis, because you think in the world we live in now, things change so frequently, and, you know, bills rise, governments change, wars happen. There's loads of things that happen every day that might change what is important to people. So go back and review it once a quarter and just say, okay, these are what I last thought was important to my audience. Are they still the same things, or has something else taken the #1 position, and how can I help with that? And then the follow-on action from that is to then create content for your social media that shows that you have the solutions. So again, to use the 2 examples that I gave for the first point around a parent that's concerned about their child's reading age, you will have a solution for that, because you can talk to them about the benefits of involving a child in reading regularly, in reading to a child. You've got books that can be targeted for their age group, to their interests. So again, think about what's the specific problem, what solution do you have, and you mustn't forget that you are part of that solution. Again, the book or Usborne isn't just the solution on its own. You need to be the person that's going to make that person listen and realize, oh, okay, that Usborne book or that Usborne opportunity is what I do need. And that's really going to help me overcome what I'm feeling right now. So yeah, again, think about when you're doing it, don't just make it a picture of the book and a long description about how wonderful it is. Show yourself talking about it and let your passion really come across, because that's, again, what will make people think, okay, wow, I'm going to listen to this person now. And the rookie mistakes that I talked about that kind of switch people off, hopefully all of you will realize that these would be bad things to do anyway, but it does no harm just to reiterate them. But the first one is don't always be 100% about selling, because again, who really comes to social media just to be sold at? There will always be an element of selling on your profile, because ultimately you're using it to grow your business and find new customers, but it shouldn't be the be all and end all of your profile. You don't want to be using clickbait. So by clickbait, I mean using kind of a curiosity approach to the nth degree. So saying things like, I've got a wonderful business opportunity. If you're looking to earn some extra income, DM me and I'll tell you everything you need. Be far more open and tell people what they need to know. Don't always expect them to have to DM you, because again, people in this day and age just turn off from that and think, if it's that great, you'd be telling me upfront about it. Why do I need to do it through a message? Or why do I need to message you? Why can't you just put it here? Making false and exaggerated statements, again, I hope it's a kind of an obvious one, but that kind of, I guess, most relates to probably the business opportunity and earnings claims. Again, don't go over the top with it, because it will very soon catch you out. Don't share anything that isn't valuable to your audience, like we talked about. Posting and ghosting is where you just put a post out on your social media and then you close it and disappear, because again, you're not then building relationships and engaging. Never buy any form of engagement or followers, because again, it can stand out like a really, really sore thumb to anybody that has a vague idea what they're looking at. And ultimately it won't do anything for you. If you're buying 5,000 followers, they're not going to be genuine people, so they're not going to buy from you. So what are you actually getting from it? You're just throwing money away, really. Don't jump on trends for the sake of it. So again, this might be relevant for things like Reels or TikToks, where certain pieces of these content are frequently being used by people. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to do that because it's really popular and then I'll get seen by loads of people and it will help me grow. Don't just do that for the sake of it. Only use a trend if it genuinely is relevant to you and you can fit it to you and your business. And like I said on the last point, don't try to be someone else, because again, everybody is different. And just because something is working for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And last point, oh, it's just gone backwards again, is about strategizing to be successful. So having a plan of action. So this is really pulling together everything that we've talked about. And the first thing is really setting realistic objections and expectations for yourself. People very quickly switch off from social media because they have this false expectation of, this is going to be the answer to all of my business problems. I'm going to find loads of people within a month doing this, and it's going to be really quick and easy. And I'm afraid to say, as you probably will all know anyway, it isn't that easy. And it's now really, really competitive, especially since the pandemic, when so many people couldn't go out and see people face to face. Almost everybody had to switch online, and there are far more people now that are clued up on this stuff. So again, you need to kind of be realistic about when you can achieve things and to the level that you can achieve them. You also want to keep expanding your comfort zones. I'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a second, and make sure that your content keeps evolving. So you don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again, because like the old saying says, if you keep doing the same old things, you're going to keep getting the same old results. So we want to kind of shake things up whenever we can. So the first action to achieve these objectives is to, first of all, create yourself some objectives for your social media and regularly review them. So my advice would be to set yourself 2 or 3 objectives for each social profile. And they probably will be different for each social profile, because you might be trying to reach different people. So remember earlier I said around, you might be using Instagram to find customers, but you might be using Twitter for the schools route. So you are probably going to have different objectives for each one of those. So have a set of objectives for Instagram, a set of objectives for Twitter. And just be realistic with it. If you're brand new and you know that you're not particularly experienced in social media, you don't have a lot of time to commit to it yet, don't set yourselves a target of, I'm going to get 1,000 new followers or 1,000 new customers every month. You're probably setting yourself up to fail, and then it's going to demotivate you. So go at it slow and steady so that you can kind of give yourself a boost when you achieve smaller, more realistic objectives, a bit like I guess you would do with your business. So when you're kind of doing business planning, there's no point in setting yourselves a plan or a target that you know is probably highly unachievable, because it will just knock your confidence back. So build it up as you grow in knowledge and confidence, then set yourselves more kind of stretch targets, and it will then help you get the right mindset. There's nothing wrong with realigning your goals as well. So again, we all know that things happen, and your priorities might change, or what you need to focus on might change. So monitor how you're doing and realign if need be. And if you need help in doing that, find trusted sources to help you do that. So it might be somebody like me, it might be Lucy, it could be anybody that you actually trust will give you open, honest, constructive advice. And who I would say is probably not a trusted source would be some random person on a social media platform that, again, you don't really know. I would say there are lots of people out there that now call themselves social media gurus or network marketing experts. It's very easy, again, to say one thing but not be knowledgeable in it. So go to the people that you have some kind of validation from, I guess, to avoid going down a route you don't want to go down. Second action is then about learning new things. So you want to keep up to date with the social networks that you're using. So it doesn't mean every day going and looking at, what is TikTok doing, what's Facebook doing, what's LinkedIn doing, but maybe once a month, get an update. So as an example, I do a newsletter once a month, a free newsletter that sends out just an update for each social network and what's been new, what new features have been introduced in the last 30 days. So that could be an example of, it will come into your inbox, and then maybe on one of if you have like a business planning day once a month or something, you spend 20 minutes going through that newsletter and saying, oh, okay, I didn't realize that Instagram's introducing that. That sounds like I could use it. I'm going to look into it a bit more. And then it avoids you becoming stagnant and just doing the same things again and again. And so whenever you see something new, don't immediately dismiss it and think, oh, they're introducing something new again, nothing ever stays the same. View it in a positive way of, oh, okay, here's potentially an opportunity for me to jump onto this new feature really early and be somebody that starts using it from day one. And that's going to be really appealing to my audience and put me out there in a way that other Osborne partners aren't, or other direct sellers aren't. And a good action or a kind of a commitment to make to yourself is to commit to at least learning one new thing a month that's going to either expand your knowledge about social media, grow in confidence, or help you create something new for your own audience. Because if you're doing that, you are going to keep growing. I would say, if you can do more than one thing a month, great, but I would not say doing anything less than once a month. If it's quarterly, what you might be doing now, if you learned about that 3 months ago, something new has probably come in since then, and you're already going to be out of date. So I would say go for once a month. And then the last point to make sure that you are evolving is to review your analytics. So every social platform will give some level of information about how well you're performing. So ordinarily, it will tell you things like how many people are seeing your posts, how many people are engaging with it, so liking, commenting, sharing, saving it. And what you want to be doing ideally is spending around half a day once a month looking at those analytics. It might be more or it might be less depending on how many profiles you have, but you want to identify, out of all of your posts that you shared in the last 30 days, what worked best and what worked worst. And that will probably, the way you will be able to define that, the profiles themselves will tell you these things. Each network defines it this way, but it will probably be broken down by reach and engagement. So it will say your best posts were the posts that reached the most people and had the most people like, comment, share, and save them. And the worst ones were the ones that had the least of those things. And the idea, it shouldn't be rocket science, I hope, is that you want to be doing more of the good stuff and less of the bad. So when you look at all of those good posts that have done well, ask yourself, is there a consistent theme with all of them? So are you talking about a particular topic? Are you doing a particular thing within this post? Are you using certain hashtags within it? And if you are, and there is a theme between all of them, that's a really positive sign to say, okay, the essence of that post is working for my audience. I need to be applying that a lot more often than I am. And I need to stop doing some of these bad things that are getting 0 likes and very few reach, because they're the things that it's not doing anything for you. It's not doing anything for your audience. So chuck it in the bin and find something else. So I'm amazed I'm actually 3 minutes early to get through all of these points, but I know I've rushed these through really quickly, but I now want to ask if anybody's got any questions. We've only probably got around 10 minutes because I've got probably a couple more slides at the very end. But does anybody have any questions, either from anything I've talked about or something, anything else?
There's some that have been in the chat
Okay.
throughout. So the first question is from Natalie, and it's, do you think Twitter will dwindle due to Threads?
I was wondering whether Threads would come up. Yeah, it's really too early to say. In a way, I hope it does, because Twitter came up at the last session that I did with Osborne, the Leadership Academy. I am personally not a big fan of Twitter because I think it's quite a negative space. But I do understand that there were certainly the session I was last on, a few people saying certainly for schools and that kind of educational sphere, Twitter was a platform that was highly used. So it was a good way to connect with those people. But Threads is very, very new. For those of you that don't know, Threads ultimately is a competitor, but very similar to Twitter, as in it's just text-based content predominantly, but it's from Instagram. So Instagram have launched it to kind of really compete with Twitter, but it's very, very new and it doesn't have anywhere near the amount of features yet that Twitter has. So you can't search for content, you can't use hashtags. Up until very, very recently, I think until the last couple of days, you couldn't even filter your feed. So you just, and when you open it, you see anything and from anybody. You don't just see from the people that you want to see from. So it's become the fastest growing social platform ever. They had 100 million people within the fewest amount of days. I think it was 5 days. So prior to that, it was an AI platform called ChatGPT that you might have heard of, that was the fastest ever growing online platform, but it's overrun every other social media platform, but it's because it's new. And so it's still a little bit early to say, but I'll keep you up to date with it through my own profiles.
Next question is, I don't usually, from Chiara, and it's, I don't usually follow back my followers because I thought it's not very professional. Should I do it instead? Yeah,
it's a good point, because if you've got 5,000 followers, I would say in that case, you're not going to have the time to engage with all of those 5,000 if you follow all of them back. So the way I do it myself is I am just very, very selective about who I follow back. So again, I go back to this kind of softer areas around, do I have something in common with that person? And ultimately, are they of value to me? Which sounds like a bit of a cold-hearted thing to say, but again, you're using this to grow your business. So if someone's following you and you think actually they don't fit into my ideal audience member demographic, then there's probably no value in you following them. But if they do, or you think they might do, it might be worth following them back, because then you will see their posts in your feed and you can start engaging with them. But again, if in over a period of time you start seeing what they're posting about and you think, actually, that they're not the person that I need or that I want to be able to grow, just unfollow them. It's not a bad thing. People don't get notifications when you unfollow them. But yeah, it's just about being selective, I think. I wouldn't do a blanket. If you follow me, I'm going to immediately follow you back. Because again, you'll outgrow yourself.
And the next question is from Sandy, and it's, can we get a copy of the slideshow, please?
Yes, yeah, Lucy, I think is going to pop it in the chat, aren't you, at the end?
I've got the workbook. Does that have the slideshow in it?
Yeah, basically
it's everything.
The whole
Perfect.
of it. Yeah. So yeah, you'll get all of those. And I'm going to talk about how you can use that in a sec, Sandy. So yeah, but good question.
And the next question is from Louise, which says, I don't have an issue doing reels, etc., but I really struggle thinking of creative ideas. Does anyone else have the same? A few people have agreed with that.
Yeah, it is a difficult area. The way I find inspiration, and I encourage people that I coach, is there is no very quick and easy way to get the answer. It will take time, but it's through, if you're following people that are kind of within your area or that fit into your ideal audience type, the algorithm will start learning what kind of content you want to see. So the reels that you watch will be within your kind of area of your niche, as it's sometimes called. So it's just a case of scrolling through and looking at other people's reels and not thinking of it as everything I see, can I do exactly what that person did? It's maybe looking at it and thinking, okay, I'm not going to do exactly what that person's done in the video, but I really like the audio that was used. So can I use that audio in another video that fits for my business? Or if the audio doesn't fit, but you like what they're doing or the kind of the concept of it, tweak it and do it for your own business. But one thing that I would encourage you to do, which I'm kind of happy to support you with, is if you've got kind of the base of an idea and you want to run it by somebody, feel free to just message me on Instagram or whatever and say, hi, I was on your session, I've got this idea for a reel, what do you think to this? Because when someone gives me the little spark at the start of something, my brain then starts going, blah, 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 and I get millions of ideas. So I can probably then give you something that might be a little bit more relevant to you individually. But yeah, I feel you, but it's just a case of looking and finding inspiration, I would say.
The next question is, I usually try to bring my followers from Instagram and Facebook to my WhatsApp groups so I can have more control of my leads and I sell more. Any tips to do this better?
Yeah, it's I would say it's just a case of doing it regularly, but not making it kind of going out with the begging bowl. It's very similar to what I mentioned this newsletter that I started. So again, I've got a group of followers on different social platforms and kind of through these training sessions. But ultimately, if I can get you to sign up to the newsletter, and then I've got kind of a way of connecting with you and sending you lots more things, and you're kind of within my little community sphere then. So the way that I would advise to do it is to you want to build it into your content plan for every month, but doing it not always in exactly the same way. So it shouldn't just be a post saying, oh, subscribe to my, give me your number to join my WhatsApp group. You need to kind of give them a reason to want to do it and what's the benefit to them. So think about how you can do that in different ways and in different content formats. So can you talk about it in a story? Can you get testimonials from other people that are within that group and they give you kind of little sentences about why they enjoy being within it? Is it kind of the social vibe? Is it the information they get from you? Is it the promotions? And just kind of try to pitch it at different angles, but always give them a reason to want to join rather than join because then I've got your number and I can send you offers and promotions and you'll buy more from me. Because again, people aren't stupid. You need to give them something, a kind of a reward for the effort.
And the next question is, I struggle to think of ideas of value content that doesn't include just book posts. So what's your advice on that?
Yeah, I would say, I would hope that from really going through the actions that we've done today, the biggest thing that is going to help you be able to come up with content ideas is understanding your audience. So again, what your profile should ultimately be there to show that you've got something to offer your ideal audience, your ideal customer or your target audience group. So again, think about what are those things that appeal to them? What are they looking for? What are the challenges they're facing now? And how does that relate to what you've got to offer, either through the business opportunity, the books, or you as an individual? But again, sometimes people can overthink it. It doesn't have to be something really clever and advanced, just something very simple that just resonates with somebody can open up a conversation and build the connection. So I'd say when you get the kind of the slides from today, go through each one of those actions and think, okay, have I really nailed this up until now? Because a lot of people say, yeah, I know who my audience is, I don't need to go over that again. But actually, where's the harm in spending 20 minutes just revising that and saying, okay, actually, it does what I've written down, does that match the followers that I've got? Because if they don't, then you're not connecting with that target audience. You might know who you want it to be, but that might not be who you've actually got at the moment. So yeah, work your way through the ideas that we've gone through today, and hopefully that will give you a little bit more inspiration.
And yeah, I mean, we've had a similar thing about from Anna, actually similar advice. Post about my dog get more likes than books, so I make sure he features every week. Everyone loves an animal.
Yeah,
I think
that's
Stuart's advice of looking at other people as well, like you don't have to be really original, do you, Stuart? Like you can see what other people are doing that you're finding funny or amusing, and
again, it's a maybe a little bit of a fine line, but yeah, you can just finding inspiration and then trying to make it relevant to you, so you're not just doing the same thing. Because if you just do the same thing, you become the same as everybody and you blend into the background. But yeah, there are what I would call, they're probably not the most sustainable techniques ever. So kind of, I fully get where you're coming from, Anna, was saying about with dogs and cute animals. Everybody likes looking at a cute animal. And I've got experience that myself. I got a new kitten, 8 weeks ago, and I created an Instagram profile for him, and all I've done is put reels of him jumping about, and he is far more successful than I have been on any social media platform. But again, we just like looking at those things. But again, think he might get, so if I start putting these kitten reels on my social media platforms where I'm looking to find people like you guys to work with, I might find loads of people that like looking at cats, but they're probably not going to want a social media trainer. So again, think about it. It can help in some ways, but actually, can it hinder you in another? So yeah, just hopefully once you've gone through, you'll get more ideas and the dog can be phased out a little bit. Is that all of the questions? Sorry.
Yes, I think that is all of the questions. I've put Stuart very kindly sent a PDF to me, which I put into the chat for you guys. Yeah, do make sure that you download that now, so you've got it ready to use after the session. And Stuart, I can see you saying over to you.
Sorry. Yeah, it's just really to round off. I'm determined to finish on time, Lucy. So yeah, really from today, all I wanted to end with was to say, really now it is over to you. So through all of these kind of sessions, and I do them for so many different companies, and I've been in them myself, where you might be sitting there and this might have G'd you up a little bit, and you might think, yeah, okay, there's something I can do here, but it's only going to make a difference if you actually put it into action. So from today, now you've got the slides, there are 15 ideas in there that you can implement. So again, it's irrelevant of whether you started social media now or you've not started it, all of them can be used by all of you. And the first action, either straight after this call when you disconnect from Zoom, or tomorrow morning while it's all still fresh in your mind, just read through them and commit to, okay, I'm going to action X of these. and tell somebody about it. So either your upline, Lucy, Becky, me, whoever it might be, give yourself a commitment and tell somebody about it, because then you're far more likely to do it. And I'm more than happy, if you want to scan this QR code, if you're not following me already, it will link you to my Instagram profile. And I'm more than happy that if, when you get going with this, that you want some more support, or if you've got questions, or you think, I don't remember what you said about that, can you go over it again? I'm more than happy to do that for you. So do feel free at any time to message me, ask me kind of for ideas, tell me what you're thinking, and I will be always open and honest and come back to you as quickly as I can. I'm more than happy to help. But other than that, thank you very much all for listening, and I really hope it was very useful.
Thank you, Stuart. And just to, he's not asked me to do this, but you can give me a $5 later, Stuart. Stuart's profile is so full of ideas that you're not paying for. So I would recommend, if you take one action, follow Stuart on social media, because I think it's just those constant ideas that pop up that you can think about, like sign up for the free newsletter and make the most of the free resources that are available, because why wouldn't you if you're not having to pay for them?
Always nice to have a little plug.
Thank you, Stuart.
So massive thank
pleasure.
you to Stuart for joining us this evening. And yeah, if there's one person, Stuart really gets what we do and what you guys do, so we'll be an amazing source of advice, and really kind, Stuart, that you're happy for people to reach out to you afterwards. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us this evening, giving up your evening for us. And yes, we will no doubt see you at another training session in future. Thank you for joining, everyone, too.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.